The time is now 6 o'clock, and the Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 Kingsport City Schools Board of Education regular meeting is now called to order. We are fortunate to have with us Brayden Austin, who is going to be working with Dr. True to kick off our meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. I would invite Brayden to come on up. We'll introduce you to Brayden. We are pleased he is with us tonight. Brayden, you are a freshman at DBXL, correct? So you are now about 3/4 of the way through your freshman year of high school. Give us a status update. How is your year going?
It's going great. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah.
So DBXL, a little different setting. What attracted you to DBE and what has that been like? What have you liked about being at DBE this year?
Probably the environment. It was a lot more free than DB. DB's got a lot of people, you know, and I just wanted a place where I could be a little more focused on what I want to do.
Have there been things you've gotten involved with at DBE or things that are highlights for you?
I'm in the student council, and so that takes up like a couple Wednesdays a month. Next year, I'm going to do our mateys and hopefully some other like programs around school that I didn't get a chance to do this year.
What about our mateys interest you?
The robotics aspect. I like building things.
Got any idea what you want to do after high school yet? I know it's early.
Probably engineering of some kind.
Okay. Very good. Well, we're glad you're here tonight. Congratulations on a great year. We hear great things about you, and I invite everybody, if you would, to go ahead and stand, and we will shift this way whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Brayden, thank you so much for being here with us, and hang in there. You've just got a little over a week, and then it's spring break. So there'll be a lot of people very happy when the next 11 or so days roll around. So thank you so much for being here. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the agenda, which includes the consent agenda. Once the agenda is accepted, the board mutually agrees not to discuss any item of business or take any action that has not been accepted for the agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And tonight we're going to be voting audibly, so all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. At this time, Dr. Philip Marshall is going to recognize some students for the National Merit Scholarship Program.
So this is a really cool honor, and I'm glad to be able to do this on behalf of the Board of Education. Tonight I want to recognize two Dobyns-Bennett High School seniors for advancing to finalist standing in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. This program is designed to identify and honor the top high school students in the U.S. The students from DB this year are finalists Liam Klug and Claire Lee. Their achievements in the classroom, commitment to co-curricular activities, and meaningful contributions to our community truly set them apart. And they will serve in this prestigious competition as extraordinary representatives for their school and district. They will compete with the top high school students in the nation for some 6,870 National Merit Scholarships worth more than $26 million. That's awesome. The nationwide pool of semifinalists represents less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors. So congratulations, guys. That's really cool. They're selected on a basis of skills, accomplishments, and potential for success in rigorous college studies. So Claire and Liam, if you'd come up and receive these.
Congratulations to Claire and Liam. We have seen you all many times, and it's been a pleasure every single time. And I do believe Liam is going to be heading out here to Indianapolis soon with some other saxophone players. And Claire has made a decision to where she's going to school. She's going to Duke University, so she's going to go be over there in North Carolina. And Liam, have you decided where you're going to school? Okay, nothing like putting you on the spot, but that's okay. You still got, you've got just a little bit more time, I think, beginning of April, but I know that you both are going to be so successful, and we're so very proud of you, and thank you for not only your academic excellence, but also your extracurricular excellence that you've invested in this community. So we're very proud of you and wish you the very best. And this is a time, if you were here just for recognitions or whatever, you are welcome to be dismissed. You're more than welcome to stay and be a part of this very interesting business meeting that we're having. But please feel free. You are welcome to be dismissed at this time. So we'll take just a brief moment here to let those folks.
We're sorry, Scouts.
And I actually want to recognize our scout troop. I'm so sorry. I did.
It was a very last minute thing. I messaged Brandon last night and asked if we could come visit tonight.
Yes, and so tell us who you are and what scout group is here. There we go.
Troop 48, we are a co-ed troop. We have girls and boys together. We have over 100 kids registered under the troop, right? Basically, Scouts, it teaches you life skills. It teaches you first aid, CPR. So if somebody shows something, you can get behind legs. If somebody has a stroke, you can help them with that. Right now, a couple of us are trying to get our wilderness first aid, which will make us able to help you if you have a heart attack or anything like that, which is super cool. And then a lot of us are here to get our Eagle. One of the Eagle Merit badges. And if you get your Eagle, it's really good.
It's excellent if you get Eagle, absolutely. Well, I have a strong suspicion you will accomplish that as well as others. So I love that. I absolutely love that. Way to just stand up there and take advantage of the opportunities. That's leadership right there. So, troop leaders, you're doing your job. Thank you for being here. Okay, with that, then we will go ahead and move on to our first business item, and that's Mr. Andy Arnold and Mr. David Fry. And looks like we're going to be purchasing or looking to purchase some more Dell Chromebooks.
Good evening. Yes, tonight we're looking for...
Could I interrupt you one moment? Because I slid right over the public comment, and I want to make sure you can just hang right there, but just give me 2 seconds. My apologies. This is the time when members of the audience are invited to comment on agenda items. If pre-approved by the Board Executive Committee, members of the community may also address the board regarding non-agenda items. In order to speak on a topic not included on the agenda per Board Policy 1.404, you must submit a written request to the Superintendent of Schools at least 3 business days before the regular meeting. This is not the time to speak about personnel issues, as there are more appropriate ways in which these can be addressed. If you are not sure how to do this, please ask a board member after the meeting. In your remarks, you may not refer to a student by name without permission from a parent or guardian. Speakers are requested to first state your name and limit your remarks to a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to have a public comment? Okay, my apologies. I just nearly, just come on up to the microphone, if you would. And state your name.
Hi, my name is Chrissy Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to speak on the vouchers that you guys are going to talk about shortly. And I was just going to say thank you for accepting the bonus for teachers and standing on opposing the vouchers, in other ways. I know a lot of parents show up in opposition and things like that, but not a lot of people show up to say thank you. So I just wanted to come by and say, you know, I appreciate the stance that you guys are taking and things like that. And, you know, it's a lot that's going on in the world today and a lot of things, but I've got a student that's special needs, and this is something that's going to directly affect him if it, you know, keeps going and things start affecting our schools. And I was wondering if you saw this voucher, you know, system directly affecting us in the near future, and if we have a plan for that, and how parents could start helping, and if you see a way that we could start helping now, if that was something you could comment on now.
Well, and during public comment, it's not really a discussion. We just kind of listen to you. But when we get to that particular piece of the agenda, we will have, you know, some discussion on that.
Okay.
And then we'll try as well. I'll just talk about it when we. Just to kind of play by the rules.
I just want to say thank you.
I just want to start talking, and that's not really the way we're supposed to do
I'm
things.
going to talk. Thank you so much.
But thank you. That kind of made my eyeballs sweat, just to be perfectly honest. I had no idea what to expect. So thank you very much. We are grateful.
All love here. Love Kingsport City Schools.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. I don't think you can top that, Mr. Fry, but go ahead.
No, ma'am. Okay, so first item I have for your consideration is the approval to purchase some Chromebooks for our one-to-one student device program. We are going to be purchasing 1,300 Dell Chromebooks and Google Chrome licenses from Dell. This will be utilizing the Wilson County Schools Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. These will be deployed in grades 7 and 9 in 2 grades this year. The individual Chromebooks are $275.62 each, and the licenses are $32.07. And a quantity of 1,300 of each of those for a total of $399,997. These funds are in our general purpose operating budget. Actually, there are more funds in there because it was anticipated that we'd be doing 3 grades, but we're only doing 2 grades. And I think we'll be doing 2 grades moving forward on an annual basis. So we'd recommend approval.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Fry regarding this purchase? Okay. Hearing none, then the recommended action. I'm on 2 pages here. The recommended action is to purchase 1,300 Dell Chromebooks and Google Chromebook licenses from Dell Marketing LP, utilizing the Wilson County Schools Cooperative Purchasing Agreement for the amount of $399,997. Is there a motion for approval? Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Fry, and we will move on with you, Mr. Fry, for our budget amendment number 4.
Okay, this is our 4th budget amendment of the year. I have, well, I misnumbered one there. 4 items in our general purpose budget for you to consider. The first one is a transfer of monies in our technology account. We have some monies in our instructional portion of the budget that we'd like to move to our support section of the budget. And one of the reasons that this money is there and available to move is what I just mentioned to you in the Chromebook purchase, that we're only buying 2 grade levels of Chromebooks instead of 4 grade level or 3 grade levels of Chromebooks. And the cost was $400,000 as opposed to about $550,000. So there is funds freed up there that we'd like to move over into our support services. $50,000 will be going into an account that we call awards and dues, but this is an account where we purchase a lot of maintenance agreements and things like that. And one of the things that this money will be used for is to beef up our cybersecurity presence. So we're needing to move $50,000 into that account. And then we've got $25,000 that we're moving into a other supplies account. This is money that there was some monies that are associated with the renovation of the dome that came out of our technology budget, things such as security hardware for doors and cameras, and some upgrading of some of our network in that area. And some recent conversations with Mr. Arnold, I probably should have asked to move a little bit more than this, but we'll see if we can get by for the rest of the year with just this amount. I may come back to you at your May board meeting and recommend to transfer some additional monies. But we're wanting to move that $75,000 out of the instruction section into our support section. The next item is an item concerning Jefferson Playground. They're wanting to add a couple of pieces of equipment to their playground. One of them is a replacement of an old piece of equipment that we had to take out of service. The two pieces of equipment have a total cost of $42,804. Playground equipment or components are not inexpensive. We're going to pay for $20,000 out of our capital outlay funds that we already have budgeted in our budget. And the Jefferson PTA has committed to making a donation to us for the remaining $22,804. So the amendment is to increase our estimated revenue for those donations and to increase our appropriation for that capital outlay account by the $22,804. The third item is some expenses that we have incurred in our maintenance department, some unexpected expenses that we've incurred there. And mainly a lot of it has to do with the former Sullivan North High School. A year ago, we got permission from the city inspectors and the state fire marshal to basically install a valve in the sprinkler system in order to keep the sprinkler system active in the TAC portion of the building, where the gym is, and back through to the TCAT area in the portion of the building that we're occupying, and to turn off the sprinkler system in the remainder of the building that is not occupied. But this was a result of when the water pipes, the sprinkler system froze and burst and did all the damage. So we thought, well, because when we moved the cooling tower from North to Robinson, they essentially cut off the heating system for that portion of the building. So we thought, well, one way to keep it from freezing is not to have any water in there. So that's what we did, and we had permission to do that. Well, the insurance carrier came back and said, we want you to put water back in the system. And we don't, the state fire marshal and the city inspectors, that's fine what they said, but we want the sprinkler system active in the whole building. Well, and not only that, but we want you to put back the ceiling tiles that were damaged and that were removed in the building. And so two things that happened. We had a pretty good expense to replace all those ceiling tiles. Now, we didn't have to replace them all, but we had to replace all the ones that were taken out. And we had to go out and rent and/or buy heaters to get us through the wintertime so that the pipes didn't freeze. And hopefully the cold weather is over. But we didn't have any pipes that froze this winter. So that was an expense that was incurred there. Another thing that has happened is that we have several computer/network closets in all of our schools across the district. And we've now been required to go into those spaces and install a special type of fire extinguisher. And we didn't have those in there before, but now we've had to go in there and do that. And I'm not sure how many there were and what the cost of that was, but it was several $1,000s. But essentially, we spent about $38,700 out of our maintenance budget that was unplanned. And that's going to put Mr. Sewell in a little bit of a bind trying to make it through the rest of the year. So we've got some money in the superintendent's budget that we're recommending to move $38,700 into our maintenance account to cover those expenses.
Are those ceiling tiles fire retardant or something? I'm just curious why the insurance would want those installed.
Do you know?
The issue with the ceiling tiles, they are regular ceiling tiles like you would have in a building. What it does is it allows for the sprinkler system to operate instead of the smoke and the heat traveling up through the ceiling layer. It traps it basically and would help trigger a fire alarm, the sprinkler system to trigger. So that's basically what it does. It creates that barrier up in the ceiling.
It also prevents the heat from rising up to the water lines to keep them from freezing when there is no fire. So, yeah. And the fourth item in our general purpose fund is, and this is a large item, is, and I told you about this at your last meeting, is an appropriation from another appropriation from our unreserved fund balance. And so we have 4 projects that are in the works right now. We are going to replace the auxiliary or small gym floor at Robinson Middle School, just like we did at Sevier Middle School, and we're going to refinish the main gym floor. We've already got that. It's out. It's been out to bid, and we're proceeding with that project. Total project cost, including, I think the cost of the floor work is $140,000, and then there's contingency and architect fees on top of that for a total project cost of $158,800. The Jackson parking lot has got to have some work done on it. There are pieces of that parking lot that just have to be repaired. Now, we're not doing a total redo of the parking lot. We're not coming in and undercutting it a foot and doing all this work that is going to be a 30-year fix. We're doing some minor work in there and some topping that's going to be enough to get us through at least 5 years. So it's not a major fix, and we worked with the city's engineering department developing the specs on this. We have not put that out to bid yet. Well, we might have put it out to bid, but we've not opened bids on it yet. So the estimate that we got from the city, I believe, was about $130,000. So with their fee and contingency, we're projecting a total cost of $145,600. If you've been in the Palmer Center parking lot, it's worse than the Jackson parking lot. And we are going to be in that building long term. So we're again working with the city's engineering department to develop specifications, not only to go in and repair the parking lot and not just a temporary fix, but a long-term fix, but also to reconfigure the parking lot to where I believe we're adding 18 parking spaces in that parking lot. We're going from, I think, 20 spaces to 38 spaces. There'll actually be a little bit that it will go into where the parking lot comes up beside the front yard. There'll actually be a couple of spaces that actually go into the front yard, a little bit that'll be like handicap spaces. So there's some curb work and there's work in the back section of there's some parking in the back portion of it down along the Mad Branch Creek back there. That there's some work being done back there also. The total projected cost on that, including fees and contingency, is about $480,000. So it's not a cheap fix, but it is a needed fix, and quite frankly, there's not enough parking at Palmer Center. So this hopefully will provide some parking there, provide us from parking across Midland Street into a adjacent parking lot over there in what used to be the health department building. So hopefully this will get everybody back into that parking lot. So in addition to that, there's some fence work that we're going to do at Palmer Center. They come on the east side of the property where it adjoins the park. There'll be a fence that comes up through there, and it'll come up to Fort Henry Drive and down to Fort Henry Drive and then back over into the building. It'll be a wrought iron type fence, not a real decorative fence, but it won't be just a chain link fence. So that has a projected cost of $50,000. So the total project cost on that is $530,000.
Is the fencing going to go on the right side of the sidewalk, not across the sidewalk, right? You're not talking about all the way up the street?
No. It won't impede the sidewalk.
Okay.
And then the fourth item that we've got here is funds to put in place for a replacement of the Washington HVAC system. Washington is our second oldest school now, with Adams being the newest. But it is over 30 years old, and it has the original HVAC system in it, and we all know that, those systems have a useful life of about 30 years. And so it's still working, it's operational, but it is 32, 3, 4 years old at this point, and it needs to be replaced. This $240,000 that will go in here is funding to put in place for an architect. I don't know what the architect will cost. This should cover it, but usually you look at about 6% of an architect fee on a project this size. We don't really know what the cost of this project is going to be. We've got some numbers in our head that, based upon what we spent at Robinson and Jefferson and Johnson and Lincoln, some of those projects were in the $3 million range. If the architect fee is at $240,000, then there'll still be money left in the project to go toward the HVAC system. So those are $1,074,400 to come out of our unreserved fund balance. With the monies that we took out of our fund balance for the Centegic system, for the architect fees for the Lynn Garden Elementary School, and for the 4% cost of living pay increase that we gave, and this appropriation, that's going to bring our unreserved fund balance down to about $7,960,000, which is about 8% of our operating budget. So those are the items in our general purpose budget. We're also amending our general project funds budget, and I'll just run through this real quick because basically the fund balance appropriation that we just made, we're moving those monies, that $1,074,000, over to our project accounts, and we're establishing an account for the Robinson gym floors, for the parking lot improvements, and for the Washington HVAC equipment. And those will be in the amounts of the amounts that we're taking out of our fund balance. So recommend approval of this, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say that I did observe the Palmer Center parking situation and the fencing need, and I'm really happy to see that project moving forward. I had a difficult time finding a place to park,
Yes.
and it concerned me to see students walking with their parents across the street.
Right.
For one thing, the fencing is a huge need. So
Yes.
thank you for moving these projects on. I'm sure that Dr. Irving Janice will
Yes.
be really happy about this, and I'm glad as well. Just wanted to mention that. I did see it firsthand, everyone. It is very necessary. Those little ones. Yes, absolutely. And it was a safety issue with the fencing too,
Right.
kind of blocking them off from some of the public access.
Right.
So.
And the timing on these, the Robinson gym floors and both the parking lot improvement projects, we're hoping to get done by the start of school. By the time we get the Palmer Center parking lot bid and approved and back to you for your approval and so forth, it's going to be maybe pushing it to get it started by the time school starts, but it shouldn't be much later. But we got to get it done. The Washington HVAC project, that's going to be completed at the start, hopefully by the start of school year in August of 26.
You're going to run into Fun Fest with Palmer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do it during, we can do it during the summer, or we can do it during the fall or the spring, and then that interrupts school.
Yeah, but just it.
So,
and
so
they-
we'll have to coordinate with that.
Well, I mean, there's thousands of people that line up for that race right there as well.
Well, we'll have to work with the Fun Fest folks downstairs and just coordinate
Okay.
how we're gonna get through it.
Thanks.
I will not be one of those thousands of people lining up to run that race. If I'm running, you better run too. That's all I'm saying on that. Okay. Any other questions or items of discussion for Mr. Fry? Okay, hearing none then, the recommended action is to approve budget amendment number 4 as presented. Is there a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Fry.
Thank you.
Okay. And we will move on to item 5.3, which is the approval of resolution affirming intention to participate in the Education Freedom Act of 2025 relative to bonuses for teacher, and that's Dr. True.
Well, we did have for you, based on your comments at the work session, a draft resolution for this evening for your approval. Again, generally speaking, taking into account your comments, affirming that you wanted to participate in Section 4 of the Act for teacher bonuses, but at the same time making clear you continue to express your unanimous opposition to the Education Freedom Act itself. And so that is in your packet and presented to you as a draft for approval.
I think each of the board members has had time to look at the resolution, and thank you again, Dr. True, for not only making the initial draft, but taking our recommendations and getting those in there. I will open it up for discussion for our board members, and for Mrs. Brown who came. Yes, we, from not just this year, but I think for probably 11 or 12 or 13, ever when it started, maybe 2014, something like that, when vouchers were first kind of making their way on the scene in Tennessee. Boards previous to us have opposed those vouchers as well, and we still oppose them. We do think it will be damaging to public education. Honestly, we're not sure how just yet. There are a lot of questions that have been asked. I've asked a lot of questions. I know other board members have, not just our board, but board members across the state. And most of those questions have not been answered. And so we really don't know. We will try to keep the public as aware as possible as information becomes available to us. But it will affect a lot of things, and we're already seeing it in the athletic world as far as decisions and legislation that's being brought up to allow students to transfer without having a normal reason, change of address, significant life change, whatever, like a divorce in a family or something like that. So it's going to affect a lot of things, and I can't see the future, but I can look to historical information, and historical data shows that special ed students generally are not included in most private schools. There are a few schools across our state, none close to here, which provide specialty services for students with unique learning needs. None of those are close by, to my knowledge, and so I anticipate it will affect a lot of our students. And so I know we have been asked by many people, well, what are you going to do if it passes, and now that it has passed? And we're going to continue to do everything that we've been doing. We're going to educate every child who walks through our doors. We're going to love them. We're going to support them. We're going to meet their needs as best we can. We're going to continue to advocate for adequate funding, not just from the state level, but from our own city and from our county. And I'm not sure what's going to happen on the federal level, but we're going to continue to do everything we can to provide opportunities for every single student who comes through our doors. So, and I will open up the floor for other board members to comment on that as well, should they choose to.
I think I would just say that we are blessed in Kingsport. We have one of the strongest districts in the entire East Tennessee region. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to be a strong district. As a former special ed teacher, it is definitely a priority of mine to continue to look after our students with unique learning needs and advocate and do everything we can as a board to make sure those kids are continually and continuously supported. So you've got a strong board here that advocates for our students. I would like to say we don't have a lot to worry about because we are such a strong district. Our students are educated so well. We're churning out some of the top students in the state. I'm just an honor to be a part of this board because I feel like we represent such a strong district. So we're going to continue to advocate on the state level. I know Melissa's a part of that legislative phone call every single week. And here in Upper East Tennessee and Kingsport specifically, I feel like we're going to continue just to operate like we've been operating and have one of the strongest districts in the entire region. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that even though this has passed, that our area will still continue to support public education in Kingsport.
I would second everything that they said as far as what we will do, but as far as to what you can do and other members of the public can do, you can look up and see who voted for what through the entire session. So as far as what you can do, next time you get to vote, you can make your judgment based on that, if it's that big enough of a deal to you.
You don't have to worry.
I mean, as all of us being voters, that's the voice that we have a right to express as citizens. So I would encourage you to express that.
Excellent point. Any others? Okay, well, the recommended action then is to approve the resolution to participate in the intention to participate in the Education Freedom Act of 2025 relative to bonuses for teachers. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes our business portion, and due to the timing of spring break, we will not be having a business meeting this month. So if you have any reports that you would like to talk about from committees or whatever, you're free to do that. Otherwise, we will be meeting again April 8th for our regular business meeting. There are some bills that are going through legislation. I know you all get information from TSBA, so I encourage you to continue to look at that. The one ray of light, I will say, is this funding, the TISA funding for the special ed pre-K students. That is moving along nicely, much more quickly than I think any would have anticipated. And so that, again, is giving students at a very early age the supports they need. So we just need to make sure parents get them into our schools so that they can get those supports. But that's been a very positive one. And we have a couple others that are a little concerning, and so we'll keep following those and see how that goes. But reach out to your local legislators and make sure that your voice is known on some of these. I just encourage you all, everybody listening to us, as well as members here and students. We're so glad that you're here and you're seeing kind of how things roll. We worked very hard in opposition to this legislation, and we did not get the outcome we had hoped for, but that doesn't mean that we don't push on. And there is other legislation that we need passed. So we'll continue to work with our local legislators and try to provide the best opportunities that we can for our students. Okay, Dr. Hampton, is there anything you'd like to?
It's a bit early, but I won't have this opportunity again. But I would say to all of our students and our teachers to make the most of this next week and a half. enjoy the upcoming spring break. Again, it's a week and a half away. Stick with us for the next week and a half. Stay engaged. You know, the weather makes that very hard, but we've had a great year thus far, and that's because we have outstanding educators in our schools and remarkable students and a remarkable community full of outstanding parents. I don't often take the opportunity to acknowledge that, but this community is full of great supporters, and so that's stick with us for the next 10 days, and then you'll have a little time down.
And it's amazing that we're in March, and when they get back, then testing will kind of ramp up, and then we'll start having end of the year activities, and before you know it, it'll be May 23rd or whatever that day is that we'll be all at J. Fred Johnson celebrating graduation. So it just flies by. So and again, thank you to Troop 48. See, that's lost, that those young minds, they remember things like that. But we're so glad that you joined us tonight. And with that, we are adjourned. Roll Tribe.